My name's Killian Bundy. I own Blackwater Tattoo and Design in Sterling, Virginia. Our clients are business owners and people who are looking to really take hold of their personal image that they project into the world.
Wonderful. I can't wait to learn more about just everything you do. So, Killian, for those meeting you for the first time, can you share a little bit about your background and what first drew you into tattooing?
As far as background goes, I'm originally from Texas. I moved to Virginia close to 20 years ago. But if you're meeting me for the first time, I try and bring that Southern hospitality to every initial interaction. Yeah.
Wonderful. You got to have that people person personality, and you definitely have it.
Oh, thanks.
And I remember you mentioned being fascinated by tattoos from a young age, even remembering seeing tattoos in pop culture and music. What was it about tattooing that just really captured your attention so early on?
I have always drawn since I can remember. And as a kid, you really kind of push that a lot and have to kind of find out where those limits are as far as drawing on different surfaces, whether those are walls or yourself. And I was always really fascinated by art and kind of just being able to customize your physical thing that you're your body and being able to project into the world.
Absolutely. Have that kind of self-expression, self-identity.
Hmm.
That's awesome. And you also had an interest in comic books, music, things like that too.
Definitely. Just, expression in every single possible way.
Absolutely.
I was first exposed to tattooing through the music that I was listening to in junior high, Good Charlotte, Blink 182, that sort of thing.
All the goodies, right?
Yeah, the classics.
Yes. Very cool. And what was the journey like going from your apprenticeship to eventually opening Blackwater Tattoo and Design?
I actually worked for somebody in between doing my apprenticeship out in Stafford, Virginia at Dark Horse Tattoo under Kat Johnson, and then opening Blackwater Tattoo and Design in 2015 with my former business partner, Tony Trawick. It was kind of a rough journey. The guy that I worked for, Charlie Grove, rest in peace, he knew a lot about tattooing and tattoo history and had some connections to really important figures in tattooing history, but didn't know a lot about business. So as you can imagine, that wasn't really a recipe for success.
For sure. It's funny how our journey, like where we go, what we do, it all leads us to where we are now, and we wouldn't change it for a thing.
For sure.
Very interesting. And, Blackwater Tattoo and Design is coming up on 11 years in business. I want to congratulate you on that. That's so exciting. When you look back on that journey, what are you most proud of?
That's a great question. I'm very proud that we've stayed consistent in terms of just being inviting to people and trying to be good representatives of tattoo culture. A lot of the other places have more of a bikery feel, whereas we're just trying to be that third space where people feel welcome and can come and, get the tattoo they want and not feel like they're in an intimidating environment or an uncomfortable environment, because getting tattooed is kind of uncomfortable anyway.
Yeah, feeling like they don't have to conform to a certain type of space like that. It's easygoing, it's fun to come into your space, it's welcoming.
Definitely. And, that's something that has been continually reinforced over the years for us from client and things that we constantly hear, just wow, I feel really comfortable here.
Yeah, come as you are, right?
Yeah.
Little Nirvana.
We usually try and set people up for success when they come in and just whatever feels comfortable for you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you and your team have a process to make sure each client is a good fit before moving forward. Why is that so important when it comes to creating that positive tattoo experience?
If it's a small tattoo, something that takes 15, 20 minutes will usually accommodate a walk-in. But if it's something larger and more intense, something more meaningful, it's really important to have a good fit between artist and client because it's a lot like going on a road trip. You wouldn't want to get tattooed by somebody who you wouldn't want to go on a 3-hour road trip with. And I wouldn't really want to tattoo somebody that I wouldn't want to go on a 3-hour road trip with because I'm not going to put my best foot forward.
Sure, making sure it's a good fit. I think that's awesome
Yeah.
for you and for them. And you mentioned you do a lot of large scale work, including pieces that take multiple sessions. What is it like watching a client's confidence grow throughout that process?
It's absolutely incredible to watch. Things like back pieces can take anywhere from like 8 to 15 sessions over the course of that many months. And I take progress pictures every session, and you can see in the pictures and the way the clients pose and like kind of the expressions on their face how their confidence grows as the tattoo nears completion, and they're seeing those things in the mirror that like they're feeling fully embodied in who they are.
Yeah. How amazing that you're able to provide that kind of confidence and excitement for them to get that piece of art that they've been wanting for a long time or might represent something really important within their life.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And you also mentioned loving traditional tattoo styles because they are timeless and age well. What draws you to that style, and why is longevity so important in tattooing?
Longevity is really important in tattooing because tattooing is one of the only art forms where the art's constantly on the go, moving around. It's not the only art form that's subjected to sun. I personally feel there are a lot of the same considerations in creating a long lasting tattoo as there would be in creating a long lasting mural. You know, we all grew up with that bike that our parents were like, don't leave it outside, don't leave it outside. At the beginning of the summer, it was red or black or whatever. And then by the end of the summer, when you left it outside because you didn't listen, it was pink or gray. The sun does the same thing to your skin. So it's going to also have an impact on your tattoo as well. Certain newer styles don't have that necessarily like test of time. And like things like color realism, unless the client is very stringent with their sunscreen routine or wearing clothing to protect that tattoo, it's going to get beaten to death by the sun. And with traditional tattoos, there's at least a skeleton that you can restore the tattoo
Okay.
from there. Some people are about that life. Some people are about just letting it be lived in, you know?
Yeah. Lots of moving parts and pieces to like think about,
Oh,
too.
without a doubt.
And also just like aftercare and things like that too. It's a really great advice.
For sure. And you know, like I don't know how old you are. I'll be 40 this year. The tribal tramp stamp was really, really big when I was finishing up with high school. And so, you know, you see people with those sorts of tattoos and you know exactly like when they got it, when it was trendy,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Whereas with more traditional styles, it's got that classic, timeless sort of aesthetic to it, to where like they could have gotten it last week or they could have gotten it 25, 30 years ago. The classics are a classic for a reason.
Absolutely. Timeless.
Yes.
It's cool though to look back at those older tattoos because they always tell a story too
Without a doubt.
of the era, what was going on.
For sure. Tattoos are definitely a roadmap of your life's journey. Some people embrace that, other people just look at those tattoos and think, maybe I should cover that and sort of put something over that like stamp in life's passport,
For
so to
sure.
speak.
That's great that there's always that option too. If they have something that they may want to refresh or maybe cover up, that's an option too from maybe a decision they made in the past.
Definitely.
And You brought up that the quiet corporate shift is happening in the tattoo industry, including supply companies and chain style shops. What should clients know about that change?
Oh, how much time do you have? I think like the quick brief version is that corporations are going to emphasize profits over people every single time. And if you're having corporate supply companies that you're buying from, sooner or later they're going to try and figure out a way to cut costs that could potentially put your clients in danger because they didn't do the proper research to make sure pigments were non-toxic, or it could be something like they're using lead solder for the needles rather than silver solder, like is supposed to be done and is taught in traditional apprenticeships.
Wow.
Hmm.
A lot of things that people don't even think about too, that could be potentially harmful. So, that's a wonderful talking point. I feel like we could talk about that forever.
Without a doubt. And then as far as like corporate tattoo shops go, it really depends on like your morals as a client. There's a big chain that's sort of popping up right now that is using AI to do a lot of their design stuff. If you're somebody who doesn't mind generative AI art on your body, that's your thing. I personally, if I were getting tattooed by somebody and found out that they used AI to create the design, I would be mortified. It completely takes the human expression out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to try to preserve that human artistry and craftsmanship, the quality that you get with actually getting your tattoo by a professional, a true person who has studied it, has done it, has the experience, as opposed to a robot.
Yes, without a doubt.
And you made a great point that tattooing is not just art, but it's also a craft. Can you explain what that means and why experience matters so much?
Oh, absolutely. So craft versus art is subjective, whereas a craft is not. If we're talking about carpentry, there are a lot of ways that you could add artistry into like the accents on a cabinet, whether it's like filigree on the side or something a little bit more intense. The aesthetics of that are very subjective, but does that hold the things that it needs to without falling apart and falling over is not subjective in any way. And a tattoo's exactly the same. Clean lines, not subjective. Smooth shading and like solid saturation, not subjective. How that tattoo's going to hold up over time, as we discussed before, not subjective.
Hmm.
And like, a lot of things have changed or been improved within tattooing, but skin's exactly the same as it's always been.
Absolutely. You still have that same kind of base. Very cool. Lots of different things to think about too, for
Definitely.
someone learning about tattoos for the first time as well. And you recently brought walk-ins back for smaller, more straightforward tattoos. What kind of clients or pieces are best suited for that walk-in experience?
I would say people who don't have quite as much control over their schedule. If you're working, I came from a restaurant industry background beforehand. A lot of times, like your schedule's changing every single week with that sort of job. There are a lot of other ones too. But not everybody can like look on their calendar and say 3 months from now, I'm going to be right here, sort of thing. With larger stuff, I tend to book multiple appointments over the course of like a quarter of a year and then move forward on that. And walk-ins really give us the ability to work with people who don't have that sort of control of their schedule
For sure.
or
Well,
consistency.
there you go. Yeah, that makes it super convenient for someone who might not have a very predictable schedule. And for anyone listening who wants to book a tattoo, learn more about your work, or connect with Blackwater Tattoo and Design, where can they find you?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have a website as far as like viewing goes. If you're looking to get in contact with us, your best bet is to either call the shop at 571-375-2959 or email us at blackwatertattoodesign@gmail.com. From there, we'll set up a consultation with you so that we can meet in person and discuss the design. Because there are a lot of factors that go into pricing a tattoo that you kind of have to get an eye on the person. Sun damage to the skin, weight loss fluctuation, how tall that person is, like depending on what they're looking for. Like if you want a half sleeve, it's very different on a person who's like 6'4" versus 5'7".
Everybody's different.
Yeah. And making sure that we're able to like tailor the tattoo to the person so that it looks as if they were born with it is very important.
Okay, that's awesome. Very nice. And lots of ways to reach out to.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to add that I haven't touched on today?
I definitely think the aspect of like tattoo culture and the tattoo community is something that we didn't touch on that I think is very important. When I first started tattooing, I didn't realize the like depth and breadth of what I was stepping into. And even as a tattoo client, you're kind of stepping into the same thing. Tattoo conventions happen just about every weekend all over the world, and they're gathering places where tattoo enthusiasts can kind of come together, see what's out there, experience other facets of the subculture. It's almost like its own lifestyle within and of itself. But not every shop necessarily is looking to be part of that wider community. We're definitely a shop that feels it's important to participate, to give back to tattooing, because tattooing's existed longer than recorded history, where anybody who's a practitioner of tattoos kind of just a grain of sand on a really big beach. So it's important to make sure that you're honoring that when you are getting tattooed or tattooing. Um, yeah.
To see how far just the art has come over time, too, that is just so, so neat. But I think that those conventions are such a great way to connect, meet people. I'm sure you see old friends too that it's nice to catch up with.
It's a lot like adult summer camp
Yeah,
for the weekend, where like there are certain shows that I do every year and it's the same people every year. There are other ones where it's kind of like a revolving door of artists. So it's an opportunity to meet people, like you were saying. Some of the shows can be up to like 1,200 artists or more in the same room. I just came back from the Baltimore show. I think that was like 650 booths. So like
wow.
1,200 artists and then some vendors. And like if you're kind of just hiding in your shop and not going to things like this, you don't really know like where you are in the pack. And I think it's good to like get out there and see where everybody's at, see what people are thinking of that you're not, and like what people are doing that you should definitely steer clear of.
For sure. Share ideas, things like
Yeah.
that. That's awesome.
Like pick up art from other tattooers. My shop is the walls are covered in tattoo designs by myself, my coworker Pete Tapong, and then a lot of sheets that are like curated that we have put up that are done by friends a lot of the time, or some of the sheets were like specifically made for the shop.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to stop by and take a look. That sounds
Yeah.
so cool. I was gonna say you probably made so many friends and just memories along the way
Oh,
within
so many.
within your work.
For sure. And it's definitely a people business. There are a lot of clients that I've been tattooing literally my entire career, and they've gone from being clients to friends. And it's just like a great way to kind of like build community.
Yeah, build community, build those great relationships too.
For sure.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Killian, for joining me on the podcast today, sharing your knowledge, creative passion, and just story with us. I wish you the very best in all that comes your way in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.